Welcome everyone to Stadium Journey Obstructed Views, the show where a couple of guys in a couple of countries have a couple of beers and discuss a stadium somewhere in the world and their experiences there. I'm Paul.
And I'm Dave.
And we're excited to be here with you tonight. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe to the Stadium Journey YouTube channel, both, either or. Like the video, leave a comment if you're so inclined. And of course, check out www.stadiumjourney.com, where you will find all of our fantastic content. So let's get started. Dave, what are you drinking tonight?
So on my hockey ventures this past winter, made a trip to London, which is actually generally the hated rival of Kitchener for various things, universities, and of course the Rangers and the Knights are bitter rivals. All the London fans are, of course, upset because the Rangers won the Memorial Cup this year, which is awesome. But anyway, I found a brewery that was an old factory that they had converted into a brewery, and it was called Powerhouse Brewery, and I got a low voltage cream ale. And sometimes cream ales are kind of, sometimes they sort of slide into the India kind of range, and sometimes they're a little bit more, on the mellow side. But this one was more mellow. It wasn't very hoppy. It's not very hoppy. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. What do you got?
Hey, I've got a theme going because of our subject matter today. We're talking football.
Football. Yes.
I have a football beer that I picked up at a football game. So I was actually at Gillette Stadium, not watching American football. I was watching actual football. I was watching the Boston Legacy, the new women's team in the NWSL. They're playing half of their schedule this year at Gillette and the other half at Centerville Bank Stadium, the consolation prize that Rhode Island got when we lost the Paw Sox. They still haven't allowed me in there. Stadium Journey has had other people review Centerville Bank Stadium because they know I'll give it a negative score or something. But anyway, I was there watching the Boston Legacy, and I decided I was going to have a beer, damn it. And they had a Revolution-themed beer. So Revolution also play there. They've been the little brothers of the Patriots for ever. And their beer is a Pilsner beer from Cisco Breweries, who are located on Nantucket Island. The beer is called Defend the Fort Pilsner. So there's the Revolution logo up on top. So, it's a Pilsner. I'm not one to drink a big, heavy IPA ever, basically, but especially not when I'm at a game. So this fit right in. It was the night I was there. It was cold, wet, and rainy and nasty, but the beer was okay. Maybe an IPA would have worked on that night because it would have warmed me up a little bit, kept me a little more full. But this was a solid beer, especially if you were watching a soccer game in the summertime when it was hot. Would have really fit the bill, and it would have defended the fork. The fork being me. So it was a solid choice. Not going to complain about that one. If we were visiting today's destination, we might be drinking a Tropicalia from Creature's Comfort Brewing in Athens, Georgia, because today we are talking about Mercedes-Benz Stadium, home of Atlanta United FC. Before we dive in, let's take a look at the Stadium Vitals.
Okay, so we are here today, and we are talking Atlanta United FC soccer, and we've brought in a ringer, a definite soccer fan, and Atlanta resident. So welcome to Obstructed Views, David Welch.
Thanks, Dave. So good to be here.
So Atlanta United it's been this huge success with regards to attendance. They've led the league every year in attendance except for the COVID year. I mean, from my point of view, this is a bit of a surprise. I didn't quite see it. They of course play in an NFL stadium, which is not common. So how have they done this? How has Atlanta United captured the imagination of Georgians?
Yeah, it's strange because when you think of Atlanta and Georgia in general, you think of the other type of football as being the most popular. Um, but I mean, Atlanta has really accepted the United and soccer in itself. I mean, we have huge youth programs as part of it, and the United have done a great job at reaching out and helping to support those programs. Now, even to the point where on the south side of the city, the United States, I think women's national teams have their training grounds. That was either just opened up or it's just about to open up. That their training facilities are got moved, I think, from Chicago down here. So I think American soccer has really made a point to establish themselves in the South after seeing the success of what the United helped to create. I know when they announced the club being formed, I think it was 2014, there was a massive outpouring of support for the club and a lot of excitement around that.
I will say that, I mean, of course, Mercedes-Benz Stadium is the home of the Falcons. Everybody knows that. And I've been to plenty of spots where, it's the home of something else.
Right.
And you really feel void of knowing that your team plays there at all. Now, Mercedes-Benz, I didn't really get that feeling. Now, it's the home of the Falcons, and it's obvious. However, if you go to a Falcons game, you can still see that it's the home of Atlanta United.
Yeah, and they have like a lot of activations around the stadiums that are soccer specific that you don't see. I know when you go to Charlotte, now you can see that it's a forced sort of feeling there, that soccer stuff is brought in for the match and then is taken back out for a Panthers game. I think for the fact that Arthur Blank, who owns the Falcons and the United, that really goes a long way, that he's really big about connections. I think the president of the club, it's the same person who like the person directly below Arthur Blank is the same person, Rich McKay, that was running the Falcons as well as running the operations for the United as well. So I think there's a lot of that tie-in of no, yes, they're two separate organizations, but they all fall under the same umbrella of who's supporting them.
You got to say that their early success has to have helped. Like they played their first season, blew the doors off of all the attendance records. Look out, we're here. And then season 2, we'll just win the whole thing. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think having like the star player Joseph Martinez at the time was like a player who was very exciting and he was easy to get behind and like he had the bleach blonde hair in there. He was a goal scorer. I don't know if he won the Golden Boot the second year or not, but no, he scored 35 goals, 30 plus goals 2 or 3 years in a row. And he was really easy to get behind in just his game. And then they bring in other players like Andrew Gutman and the goalie that just retired, whose name right now is escaping me. But they had longevity in players as well, which it's easy to get behind those players, especially in a game like soccer, where it's the team and the community is so intertwined much more than a lot of other professional level teams that you might see.
So do they weave that through like the supporters as well? Like they have that sort of community connection and.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. I think Atlanta United, I think, has 6 different supporters groups, all sitting in that what would be like a Falcons wing in the East End. And they really do a great job at keeping the excitement and atmosphere up. And they do a lot of things throughout the community as well, both through the supporters groups, through the clubs themselves, or that Atlanta United themselves might support some of the other soccer clubs in the area. I know that Decatur FC, which is in the WPSL, I believe. I could be wrong on the league, but it's pretty much a summer collegiate women's soccer team in neighboring Decatur. They get a lot of support through Atlanta United, which in turn, that support is kind of given back through Atlanta United. So it's very, very tied into the fabric of the community. On another hand, Atlanta United's training grounds are in Cobb County, where I live. And that's a sort of point of civic pride. I know that they're starting a women's league team as well. And their training grounds are going to be right next to the current training facility out in Cobb County also. So it's just kind of not focusing their fandom on match day. It's spreading it out throughout the year. It's pulling in and supporting as many groups as possible as well. And again, not just focusing it on the city of Atlanta, it's spreading it out throughout the community.
I think that's going to be even more important as the schedule changes and they have these big gaps in the winter, as they go to this kind of international schedule, and to keep people kind of involved in while the team's not doing anything, right, is probably going to be key. The supporter section, I think, is called the Gulch. Does that sound right?
Well, I don't know inside the stadium. I know the Gulch itself was an area outside of the stadium as it was being built, and now it's sort of being developed. It makes sense if the area itself would be called the Gulch. In years past, it was where I know fans would congregate and tailgate before matches and then march into the stadium. So yeah, that would make sense if that area itself now is considered the Gulch.
So I would be remiss if I failed to mention how Atlanta is like the Kleenex box of stadiums, right? They just, oh, we need this one. We've had this one 15 years. Let's get a new one. Let's get new. So, the Georgia Dome was there, of course, for the Olympics. And then, they jettisoned the Georgia Dome, I think, pretty quickly. And I myself was a little bit skeptical of that. However, Mercedes-Benz Stadium is one of the most unique looking venues that there is. I mean, as being a child of the late 70s, early 80s, I look at it and I go, oh, wow, that's a Ninja Star.
Yeah, I mean, and it's all paneled and it's glass and it's aluminum and it's bright and shiny and it does cool things too when they decide to open up the roof. No, just the process of opening the roof. If you see it from above, it looks pretty neat itself. They don't do it often, but when it does, it's pretty special. No, the Georgia Dome was the Georgia Dome. I think it had its limitations and what they could offer there. And I think when looking at the grand scheme of what Atlanta's trying to do with Mercedes-Benz, like they're not getting the Final Four. They're not getting national championship football. They're not getting Super Bowls if they're still in the Georgia Dome. So I think they looked at what they had in front of them and what they wanted to do with that area in the stadium, and they just weren't able to do that with the stadium that they had available to them at the time.
Yeah, and just to make you feel old, it's coming up on its 10th birthday real soon. Seems like
Yeah,
it just opened yesterday.
yeah, I still remember the bus pulling out in front of the Georgia Dome when they were imploding it and it being a big, huge, like, no, we're missing this moment of like this dome that we loved, that we knew for what, 20 years or so. But we're missing that moment. But no, it was kind of like a iconic moment in Atlanta history itself of just the MARTA bus pulling out in front of the dome as it came down.
Right. I would say one thing a couple of things that surprised me. Number one, this I found a little bit disturbing. So, they got all those panels, and now some of those panels are being taken up with giant ads, which I personally, I think that looks a little bit tacky. But the other thing that kind of surprised me is how well and how easy it is to get in and out of there. I've been for the United, I've been for the Falcons. Anytime I go to an NFL anything, I expect to be sitting in traffic forever. And both times going to Mercedes-Benz, I flew out of there And it was, I parked on the parking deck, which is another unique thing, how everything seems to be built on stilts around downtown Atlanta.
Well,
Um,
I mean that base level was actually the original city of Atlanta. Atlanta itself is built pretty much over the city that when it got burned down during the Civil War, no, the new city got built basically on top of that. You've probably driven in and out of that stadium more than I have. I'll usually take MARTA, which has a stop right there. And the great thing about MARTA at that location, I mean, MARTA has a lot of drawbacks. The subway system that runs through Atlanta, like it's not very expansive when you look at what Boston or Chicago might offer. Um, but you can fly into Atlanta, catch the subway at the airport, and be at the stadium within 30 minutes. Um, so if you're staying around any of the MARTA stations, it's even easier to get out probably with a car. Again, I haven't been there by car, and I couldn't even tell you when, just because taking the train, like they say down here, taking MARTA to SMARTA. Um, and it's true. I mean, usually I'm later leaving a lot of things at the stadium than most. But getting in and out, I've had very little issue with that.
yeah, I found they do the city does a great job of, okay, we're this street's one way, this street's one way. This street, you going this way or you're going this way. And then if you want to go that way, you're up 2 blocks, and it's just very well planned out. It's not like there's not a lot of people there, because there is, but I just felt it was planned out really well. Similar to some of those college towns where, you go in and you're like, oh my gosh, there's 80,000 people here and there is no public transit. How the heck am I getting out of here? And then boom, 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 they close all these roads off. Zoom, zoom, zoom. I'm out of here. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing what they can do with just traffic studies. And I mean, I know people might have differing opinions. That I know when the Braves moved out of the downtown area, no, they spread out their parking away from directly at the stadium, which, in my opinion, did help getting in and out no, of the stadium, just because you're not sending everybody onto no, 2 or 3 roads. I think the similar thing happens though at Mercedes-Benz, is that you're able to get people out different ways. It's just not everyone's in a parking lot that surrounds the stadium. There's
Right.
parking decks there that have upper and lower levels that you can get out on. And again, being able to take public transit that picks up and drops off pretty much right at the stadium is really helpful as well.
And Atlanta, of course, a top-notch tourist destination.
Mm.
Tons of things to do there. I never understood why they have such a great aquarium there, but they do. It's
Yeah,
where's the lake?
well,
Where's
in a
the
lot of
ocean? But hey, it's a great aquarium.
yeah, in that whole aquarium was put together by Arthur Blank is one of the founders of Home Depot, and I think it was Mr. Marcus was a partner in Home Depot with Arthur Blank, was the mastermind behind that aquarium. And that whole area itself, I mean, that's a great thing about going to things at Mercedes-Benz, is that you can fly in, never have to rent a car. You can stay right there. You have the aquarium, you have the World of Coke, you have the College Football Hall of Fame is all right there, Centennial Olympic Park. And then that's not even to mention all the eateries that are in the area as well. So, I mean, you can be going in, you can arrive early for a match, grab something to eat, head in. You can go and you can, take part in the tailgating beforehand, which is a massive thing in the South. Some areas tailgating is not a key component of, their match day experience. But you have options in downtown Atlanta. You can go do the traditional soccer festivities, or you can be more of a traditional fan and say, well, we're going to eat before, and then we'll go to the match closer to kickoff time, and then still have things to do around the stadium as well right after. So there's a lot of options right in that area of just things to do.
Last question. Of course, with all the success that Atlanta United has had at the turnstile in the stands, do you think they can maintain it? And what do they have to do to maintain it or improve it?
I think they can maintain it mainly from the fact that they haven't been really good lately in the table. I know that they won. I think it was their I don't know if it was second year in Mercedes-Benz because they played at Georgia Tech's Bobby Dog their first season while Mercedes-Benz was still being finished. So when they won, they gathered up all those fans early on. And then since then, it's kind of been a steady decline, 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 which they're starting to see some progress in the right direction, I guess. But if they can weather those storms of still being supported while they're not performing well, then I mean, I think they're still going to be supported well. Saying that they're still number one in the MLS in attendance is a bit of a shock to me, given the results that they've had overall. Um, I think they have their coach from the original team, Tata's back. No, it's not the same. I don't think they have the exciting players that they had in the past to get behind, but I think everything is cyclical. I mean, there's teams and programs have ups and downs, and when something is when Arthur Blank is behind something, he says his mind to, well, this is what I want to do. Typically he's able to get that done. It might just take longer than an overnight fix, but no, he's never going to like, well, we're not going to spend the money on that, or no, we're not going to invest in something that we know that is beneficial. So I see that the fandom of soccer in Atlanta and Atlanta United will continue and continue to grow, um, just basically based off of the fact of how fans have turned out, even when the United have not been great.
Well, and the honeymoon period's over, right? Like you probably don't have a lot of people who are like, I really want to check out this new stadium,
Right,
but I'm not going to be able to afford Falcons tickets or whatever. And
right.
this is maybe a little bit less expensive option.
Yeah, I mean, in this Mercedes-Benz isn't new anymore. So it's not people that needing to check that out. If you've wanted to go, you've gone by now. It's not like Atlanta United is new. No, same thing. If you wanted to see them, you've been able to go by now. So I think it's something that's sustainable, and given the World Cup being in town now, I mean they sell out pretty much any soccer match that comes into town. Like there'll be Confa Cup, or there'll be the U.S. Women's National Team set their record here. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, in the She Believes Cup. Even friendlies that they're packing the place out. I mean, it's as odd as it might be, soccer in the South is popular. I mean, of course, it might not be as popular in the demographics that we're used to with typical football, but I think that soccer in the South has their own niche, and it's being found and it's being catered to.
And I think that's a great way to wrap it up. So, David, thanks for joining us. And to our fans out there, get out there, check out a match at Atlanta United. Not this week because there's no Atlanta United this week. It's
You'll
World
be
Cup.
paying a lot more for tickets this week to get in there.
Definitely. So that's our look at Atlanta United. So for David and myself and Paul, I just want to wish you safe journeys. Cheers.